Coffee?
Coffee.
Oh, look at that.
Yee! That looks so smooth.
French press coffee. All right, first sip. Welcome to our podcast, All Things Grae. We're the Graes. All right, episode 4.
Yeah, look at
Week
us.
4. Look at us doing the dang thing.
Doing the commitment thing.
Got a mellow hair on my mug.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we're staying committed. We're staying consistent. So welcome to episode 4 of All Things Grae. And what are we talking about today?
So we thought it'd be fun to do a little Q&A episode. So we had some people submit some questions, and we're just going to go through them real quick.
Thank you for everyone who has engaged
Submitted.
submitted some questions. It's funny because we've got a couple thousand followers across all of our platforms, and we don't get a whole lot of engagement. So for those of you who that engage,
Yes.
we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes.
And for those of you who are wanting to have some questions answered on the show, just
You can always
engage.
message us. And if there's a topic you want us to talk about,
Also,
DM us.
Message us. Yeah.
Message us. Yeah.
cool. All right, let's get right into it.
Okay. So fun questions, serious questions, a little bit of both. Starting off with a fun one.
Okay.
First question is, what would your last meal be? So like if we were to go out with a bang and die happily with a full belly.
My last meal would be, and don't laugh, fried chicken. I said don't laugh.
Sorry.
Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, your mashed potatoes,
Make some mean taters.
some broccoli, some like real good steamed up broccoli, and some sort of whiskey on the rocks.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. I hate
my
to
last
think of
meal.
it as like your dying meal, but that sounds really good.
Goodness gracious, I'd go out with a bang with that.
Yeah, so as you were describing yours, I changed mine at least 4 times because I'm like, wow, that sounds good too. I was initially going to say, I think I'm going to say a smorgasbord because I don't like to commit to one type of food. I love me a good steak and I love some taters as well. But I also, within the last year and a half, which sounds funny because you also don't laugh, I've been getting more into Asian cuisine since we've lived here in Wilmington because I just grew up with like the American Chinese food, but then I've been like exploring like authentic Asian foods, and man, they just eat like lean meat and like all these vegetables, and it's so good. So
That's a good one.
that was with your steak on the grill or in
My
the smoker.
steak on the smoker. Yeah, we started smoking steaks. Boy, let me tell you,
That's adulthood.
that's adulthood. You start smoking meat, you're an adult.
Huzzah!
That's a good question. Thank
Yeah.
you for ever asked that question.
That made me hungry at 9 a.m. for steak. Okay, number 2 is, what is our favorite part of making music as a couple?
You can go first this time.
My favorite part of making music with CJ is, I think because he's like my favorite person and I love doing everything with him, that we get to do that together, and that's like a big passion for us. And so we get to, I don't know, like he's the person I always want to tell like everything to, like the first thing, like the first person to tell anything. And so it's cool when we can make it into like music, and I like seeing him grow. Like he said a year and a half ago, he's like, I'm not a good guitar player. I really want to get better. And I've like watched him progress so quickly and like put his head down and get those things done. And we just challenge each other really well. And then like our onstage chemistry is really good. Yeah. And it's just fun. Like it's just fun making like core memories with my best friend.
I love that. I thank you, by the way. That was a very sweet compliment. I always like saying that you're my favorite coworker.
Yeah.
Like we do pretty much everything together, and at one point we both worked at the same like corporate job together, which is crazy because everyone was like, "How the heck do y'all do this? Marriage, band, like our side hustles, actual work, like we did everything together." And I think my favorite part of making music with you is pretty much right with yours, like seeing your growth over the last 2 years. And I know you still beat yourself up a lot, but like, I wish you could see like where you came from, where you are now. And I can see in your eyes where you want to go. So it's like, that's my favorite part. Cause this was like a dream for me. And when we met, I wasn't sure if this is something she wanted to pursue. I didn't know if this is something she wanted to do. And so I was just like, listen, this is kind of something that I've been wanting to do. This is something that I've always been a part of. and I'm really wanting to give it a good go. And she's like, I'm in. So I'm like, all right, like, let's do this. And playing shows together, like playing in Magnolia, and just looking to my right and seeing my wife dancing on stage, and she's not an extroverted person. Like, she doesn't do that stuff. Everyone will say, anyone that comes to a show, they'll be like, I've never known that side of Cassie. And that's my favorite thing to hear, because like the Live at TED show that we did here in town, people were just like, what? I didn't have a voice. Like, I was fighting laryngitis for both of the biggest shows we played last year. And this chick just literally took the reins. Usually I'm the one who's like, engaging with the crowd. Cassie's just kind of sitting over to the side. And these last 2 shows, she literally stepped up, and like, it's cool to watch. I love that. Yeah. So you're killing it, kid.
Thanks.
Killing it.
I think the unintentional, like, standoffish Cassie that I tend to like come across as is like completely different on stage. And I didn't realize that until people like said something, but like I can feel it. Like, I'm different in like normal life than I am on a stage, and I love performing, which is weird because I hate being in front of people. I hate talking to people, but I like performing. So weird.
Good question. Thank you for asking that question. Love that.
Number 3 is, what is our favorite thing to veg on the couch and watch together?
Chips and popcorn and ice cream.
Yeah.
If we're talking veg out.
Yeah.
That's typically chip and dip. Cassie does not like the Tostitos chips. Like, those are my favorite things. They're just like the perfect amount of saltiness.
He loves to snack on bland things, so I'll make guac with it if I have.
And guac. I used to think that guacamole tasted like wet dog, but like, I actually love it now. I don't know what you put in it. It's probably crap.
You got to season it. Season it well.
She does a good job.
Put your foot in it.
And did she say something about, or this person, did they say anything about like what we wanted to watch?
Like, what would we watch?
So we just actually finished watching through the Harry Potter series, and don't hate us. We actually love it, but neither one of us had ever really gone through them up until last week.
Yeah, we don't really have a go-to. Like, we have like, well, I should rephrase. We have 2 go-to like white noise ones that it's like a feel good, and we'll like revisit every, I don't know, year or so. And that's Friends and How I Met Your Mother, because it's just easy to watch, and like we'll watch it when we fall asleep. But then like we started watching since we started dating, like we watch more like crime. Crime involving
not
government
true crime, but it's like,
no, isn't that like death?
No.
Oh.
But it's more of like the, I don't even know how to explain it.
They're like storylines based on the government and how other countries are probably trying to kill our country, and how we have to respond to that.
Examples would be like Designated Survivor, Blacklist, Persons of Interest was another big one of ours. White Collar, which is not necessarily in that same realm, but these are kind of shows that we tend to binge.
There's always
very
like
easily.
A cop. There's always a bad cop. There's always someone who's a vigilante.
Yeah. So that's something. And then like recently we're starting to get into some of the movie. You can call me a hipster if you want, but like, I've always had an issue with jumping on things that were super popular. So like when Harry Potter was super popular, I just didn't have the urge to watch them. Now that, I mean, it's still popular, obviously, but now that it's not so much craze, I'm like, okay, now I feel like I can watch this and I can breathe a little bit. Because I get like overwhelmed, I guess. But like, we watched through all of the Harry Potters and loved them. Like, they're so good. And now we're watching through Lord of the Rings, so we can finally settle this debate on which one is better. Even though so far I feel like they're completely in their own realms, but I don't know. I'm not a movie critic.
For the first 30 minutes that we've seen of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we fell asleep. It's like a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I was going to say, I didn't watch movies because I fell asleep during them all the time.
So true.
And so when I was sick like 7 years ago, like bedridden for a couple months, and that's when I started to actually watch movies because that's all I could do. But before that, I would just fall asleep, and now I still fall asleep, but still.
She's like, I'm not tired, I can make it through. And it's like 15 minutes in. It's like those memes you see. She's just cocked out.
No, I'm like, never tired when we start watching them, but something about just like, I don't know, my brain's like, this is a good time to not be here, so we just fall asleep.
This is a good time to just not be here.
It's like everything's calm. You can like just check out for a little bit.
That SpongeBob meme? All right, I'm gonna head out. I love it. Cool. Great question. Thank you, y'all.
This is for CJ, and they ask, do you ever sit still?
Yes, for the podcast.
Even then our chairs are squeaking.
That is a phenomenal question. And the answer to that question is I am working on it. Are
you?
I'm trying. It's tough to be me, honestly, because my brain does not. I don't even sleep anymore. I own a business, and it'll be like 2:00 in the morning, and I'll wake up and start jotting down notes of stuff I can do to make.
Physically, you sit still because you have to sit at your desk, but mentally, you're always going.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this in last week's episode where I talked about picking up video games, and I feel like that's kind of forced me to sit down and like, and I'll limit myself to 3 rounds. I just do like multiplayer on Modern Warfare or whatever for those gamers out there. So I limit myself to 3 rounds. I'll get online and I'll play 3 rounds. At the end of that 3rd round, I'm done. Doesn't matter if I won all 3, lost all 3, doesn't matter. But I do kind of force myself to slow down, do that, and then I'll go back to the craziness of my life.
Yeah.
So it's a great question.
We're working on having hobbies because we make a lot of businesses out of our hobbies. So we're trying to just like learn how to be still.
And I don't know. So anyone who understands this, and we're going to actually talk about this in a later episode, but if anyone's familiar with the Enneagram, I am an Enneagram 7. And so basically in layman's terms, what that means is I'm a crackhead. I literally do not stop.
Yeah.
And I have this fear of missing out. I've got this, it's like my core fears, what if I don't get to do X, Y, Z? And so like I tend to unhealthily put myself in situations where I can do everything. And we'll talk about that.
Yes.
We've got an episode coming for you guys about that. So.
Yes. Okay. Number 5 is for both of us, the story behind your tattoos.
How much time do we have?
Right. So between the both of us, we have probably like 40 tattoos.
Yeah.
But they're mostly CJ. And mine all have significance. I'm not sure if they do all have significance, but I think you're more
I'm getting to the point now
relaxed.
As I roll up my sleeves. I'm getting to the point now where they don't necessarily need to have meaning. I felt like when I first started getting tattooed, they had to have meaning for me to justify getting them.
Yeah.
Being so heavily involved in church and like, just the perception around tattoos, I kind of felt like they had to have meaning, which is not a bad thing because the first like 25 tattoos I got all have like legitimate meaning to my life. And
I mean, so far, all of them that I like have known, I think they all have meaning because you've had a story.
Something that I started doing when I was 18, I guess, was this thing I call, and I don't think I made it up, so I'm not going to coin this, but scrap tatting. So, you have scrapbooking and you have, going out to different countries and different places and you get, souvenirs. I've decided to start scrap tatting. And so anytime I visit a new place I've never been, I get a tattoo. So
maybe it should be called souvenirs.
I'm gonna beg you to never say that again.
I've always thought about it when you said it. You're like, I came out of my face too fast and I didn't know how to stop it. Like
I like scrap tatting.
It's like a scrapbook, but like it's also a souvenir, so it's a souvenir.
I like scrap tatting.
Anyway, never mind. That was bad idea.
So anytime I visit like a new country, a new city, a new state, whatever, if I've never been there before, and there's a little bit of a caveat with that, like
Florida, we got.
Well, hold on. There's a caveat with that because like I'm not necessarily gonna like, when we drove to Texas, I drove through like 7 different states. I'm not gonna get a tattoo in every single state. But
can you imagine us getting the beaver in Alabama from Buc-ee's?
Yeah, that would actually be fun. So like I got to Texas and then we got little cactuses. And that was the whole band, and that was a lot of fun. We all got little cacti.
Cactuses.
I failed English. Sorry, Miss Garcia.
But
the only other tattoos I feel like that don't really have meaning, because most of my tattoos, and I'm not going to go through all of my tattoos, but my favorite one to tell people is I have a heart where my pulse is. I was in New York and I was having a panic attack, and I was like, I always read, you got to check your blood pressure, not blood pressure, but your heart rate. And I could not find my pulse, and I was like panicking, and I was having
good in a panic attack.
Yeah, so I'm like trying to find my neck. You see people do this all the time, and I was like, "What the freaking crap? I can't find my pulse." Anyway, found my pulse eventually, and then I was scheduled to get a tattoo while I was in New York. It's my first time in New York, and it was supposed to be this like elaborate piece on my shoulder or something like that.
Yeah.
And I went into the parlor, and I was like, "Hey, I need you to tattoo a heart where my pulse," and I literally did not like let my fingers leave where I feel my pulse. I can feel it. So there's a heart over my pulse. This is stupid, but it helps.
And then I only have a few tattoos. Mine all have meaning, and I have a triangle, and that was my first tattoo. It was a stick and poke. It was, I'm gonna be honest, it was just like a product of being bored during COVID. I was locked away forever, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I was unemployed, and I was like, I'm gonna get a stick and poke. So we got that together. His was much bigger because it was my first, and that was representing like we got married under a triangle. We were gonna get married under a triangle. So we weren't married at the time, and then also just like with our faith, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the Trinity, and then like 2 days after our wedding, we got our wedding date in Roman numerals. And then, we went to Florida for our 1-year anniversary, and he drew a heart, and it's on my, I don't even know what it's called, like the inside of my ankle, foot. And then I wrote, "You're my favorite," and put that on his forearm. And then my biggest one so far is like, I have this flower piece on my forearm that I had designed for my mom and I. So mine all have significance. His mostly have significance too, and they're really fun. So
I was actually sitting here thinking about it, and I was trying to figure out what the dumbest tattoo I have, and I think
the unfinished one.
I was in Raleigh.
100% the unfinished one.
I have these roses that I was getting worked on my wrist, and this is a year and a half ago now.
We were in Raleigh for a work shopping trip, and he doesn't like shopping, and I don't either, but I just walked around, and I
found a tattoo parlor. And I was just like, hey, I'm not shopping, and the money that I have, I'd much rather spend on a tattoo. And he's like, all right, what do you want? I don't know.
So you like started flowers, and then we were running out of time because we had to get back on the bus to come back home. And it's just like unfinished roses.
And the thing that drives me insane is we sat on the bus for another 45 minutes before leaving, and he could have 100% finished this tattoo.
I know.
And him and I follow each other on Instagram, and I like forget his name and all this different stuff. So I don't even know if I can go back to him. I'll just go to someone else.
So that's that.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it would be kind of cool to do an episode where we actually go through each tattoo and the meanings, because I do have a lot, and that is a good question. I'm sure that they probably wanted to know more.
We'll do that after I get my next piece.
For time's sake, we'll do another episode.
After I get my next piece, we'll do the next one.
There you go.
Okay, this one's for me. It says, Cassie, what is the grossest, quote unquote, grossest junk food you actually enjoy? And I will say this is a good question because back from where I'm from, I was known as like the super healthy eater. Like in my realm of friends, in the church I went to, my work, they like knew I was going to show up with a smoothie. And my one coworker, they weren't ever cute smoothies. They weren't like pink or blue. They were like brown and green.
They're like
and
vomit.
He's like, so what marsh are you eating from today? And they just knew that like I was always going to have a salad. We would like go out to restaurants and I would just like only order salads, which I was very disciplined back then. Now I'm like, living life. But I would say like, that's the thing is I do enjoy a good junk food.
But what's the grossest one? Like one that like after you eat it, you're kind of like, you know what? I hate myself a little bit after that.
Probably pasta then, because I feel
It's
like
not a junk food.
Well, a crappy junk food. What do I eat that's crappy junk food?
One that you feel disgusted about yourself.
No, but that's the thing. My junk food is savory like meals rather than snacks. So I will always be a meal person before I just snack on something. So I will say pasta. And I will say when we went to Charlotte with the Williams, and I was like, I just really want some Easy Mac. And they were like, what? I was like, I would rather have like the powdery Easy Mac, Kraft Easy Mac over like a 5-cheese crock pot mac and cheese, because it's like all soggy and lumpy, and I'm not a big cheese person, so I would rather take the fake cheese over the real cheese and just eat a box of macaroni.
That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that makes me so
but then it's like
uncomfortable.
really warm and you like put the butter and the milk in.
Nope.
And it's like powdered cheese, something, it just like makes me really happy. Like I would take that any day over real cheese macaroni. I just don't like cheese like that.
Nope.
I'm not sure what it is in the powder form, but I'll eat it. Yeah, that's it. Probably that with like a lot of pepper on it. Yeah, that's it.
Good God.
Oh yeah.
Next question, please. Put the vomit over here.
All right, number 7 is, if you had to change your name, what would you change it to? Princess Consuela Banana Hammock.
I said wait because I knew you were going to do that. No, what's the premise here? Maybe we could just make this up. Like, are we changing our name because like we're running from the cops or something like that, or like new identities? Like,
I mean, if you want to.
So I had to change my name because I was in trouble.
Chartreuse.
What'd you say?
I don't know. I don't think I like that anymore. I abort that mission.
Chartreuse?
Chartreuse, but then I was like, that's a color. Chartreuse. I don't know.
Cassie does have an alternative, or not an alternative, but she's got like this alter ego, and apparently, like, you know, it's a black woman, right?
Yeah, I'm like, when I'm sassy and I'm feeling like myself and I'm real confident.
Oh, here she goes.
And I put my hoop earrings in.
Uh-oh.
It's Chantel.
Ooh, girl, let me tell you something. Chantel be fierce, bro. Let me tell you something. What would I change my name to? I feel like my name is a nickname in itself. So like to nickname or to like change a name that's not really a name, it's confusing me. My brain's going dead.
Yours would be like,
I don't know. I feel like I just go by my middle name, Daniel.
what? No, this is like alter ego. You can't be a boringer version of yourself.
All right.
You're like the kind of person who has a one name, like
Prince.
No, like Dash.
Dash.
Or like Sphinx. Like a powerful punch, and it's like
Sphinx.
it's like BA like could maybe hurt you, but also might be gentle. But like either way, you have like this great fear of it, like the Grand Canyon.
Like Wolverine.
Yeah, but that's too like. That's too like what's that X-Men thing? X-Men series is too like that. It's more like mysterious, like.
I have no idea. I feel like
Vortex or something.
Vortex.
I don't know. Good thing we're not having kids anytime soon, because the name change or name decisions is gonna be hard.
She's I feel like she's trying to make me into a superhero here.
Yeah, kind of. But like you're sly, and they're like you're like the kind of person that like you move into the neighborhood and they think you're normal, but you're like really this like big shapeshifter or like.
All right, so there you have it. We are Chantel and Vortex. Chantel and Vortex.
You doof, it's Chantel.
Chantel gets really mad when you get her name wrong. You see her almost backhand me? Like, good Lord.
You said it wrong. How do you mess that up?
Chantel, sorry.
Oh my gosh. Okay. The most telling question that we have here. Are farts funny?
No.
You said no?
I'm being sarcastic. Farts are definitely funny.
Farts are always funny.
Farts are hilarious. Like, this may be TMI, but like, we enjoy good farts in this household. I'll tell you that for sure.
When we saw a video the other day, someone sent us a video of like someone in this big like cathedral church, and someone farted on the wooden bench pew, and it just reverbed everywhere. And I was
really want to find it. Keep talking.
My gosh.
I'm putting this in the mic. I'm sorry. Whoever asked this question, y'all can go and blame them for this, but we're doing it. If you're not sending your friends funny memes or funny videos and stuff like that, are you actually friends? You know, like, all right.
That reverb in that church.
Golly, man.
You cannot fart loudly in a cathedral.
I was literally watching that, and like she was sitting next to me, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. That dude, that was stains that had to be cleaned up for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But yes, all of that to say, farts are hilarious.
Farts are funny.
Very funny.
Yes. Cool. Very, very funny. Okay. Next question is, what is, not what, just redo, back up, delete. Who is,
complete wrong word.
Who is your greatest role model?
Greatest role model?
Role model.
My greatest role model? Man, that's a great question. I mean, obviously I feel like everyone's got probably multiple. But I would probably have to go with your mom. Actually, she's gone through a lot of stuff.
She's a cool, strong egg.
And like, I feel like when you have a conversation with her, I'm not gonna go into any details or anything like that. When you have a conversation with her, like her like will to just like move forward, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. You know,
she's a super cool lady. I love her.
I definitely look up to her. My parents also, I look up to them. You know, just with everything they've done, done some of the most impossible things, getting out of debt, and really high numbers of debt and being able to get out of that and do what they want to do, and now they're traveling the world. Like, yeah, I really do look up, and I feel like that's a cliche answer. Like, I look up to our parents, but like, I mean, what better role model can you get, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in our situations where you're adopted. I was in foster care, so these are people that chose us, also. Yeah, and just to kind of see that selfless act, to see that they did it because they loved, and to this day, almost 27 years later for you and, 15, 20 years later for me, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I would say my mom, my grandma, your parents as well. We're really blessed to have really great parental figures in our lives. And like my grandparents are just a huge one for me because they have like such a big legacy, and they don't even, it wasn't intentional, but just like the way that they loved people in their community and the big family that they raised. My mom's one of 8 kids, and then there's like 20, 30 some grandkids, and we're on like the 3rd generation now. But it's like just cool to see that impact, and like I didn't realize it, but I guess like it's not common for like Christmases and Easters and Thanksgivings to be like an attendance of 40. And so that's like really cool that like our family has just grown and has that,
Your family
has that
awesome.
Togetherness.
Yeah.
And then I also love your side of the family because it's like obviously two different styles of parenting. Both have been very fruitful and very good. And just seeing like the well-rounded perspectives that both sets of parents have. And then I think like you're my role model in music because like I'm very quitter. He's very not. And he's just like very good at like setting a goal and reaching it. And I am in certain ways, but it's been cool to like see you as like an anchor and like a good person to turn to when it's hard and also challenging me. So
I did mention that in an interview that we did. I don't remember with who, but that I've looked up to you in that regard as well. And like the whole time I've been sitting here, I've been trying to debate whether I should say this because I don't want it to come across wrong. But I think there's a certain, and this is going to get kind of like, whoa. But I feel like in a certain way, I've always looked up to a future version of myself.
that's
like,
cool.
I've always looked up to like the potential that I know I can be. And that future me is my role model. Cause I'm like, I know I can do this. Like, I know I can be this person. And so I'm looking up to that person and I'm making my way to them. Cause everyone knows once you get to that point, you're always going to have another milestone.
Okay, I love that because I usually, this is kind of crazy, but I think about my future kids when I'm in like usually the gym and it sucks. But I'm like, I want to be in good shape so that I can be a present and healthy mom when we have kids. Yeah. And so when I'm running or when I'm doing like lifts and stuff, like literally the other day I was like, okay, I feel like I'm going to die. But then I literally just thought like to future kids. I don't know if that's like a role model thing, more like maybe an inspirational
I feel like it is. I feel like a role model is someone that you look up to better yourself. And so whether you're looking at a future version of yourself and it's making you desire or feel motivated to be that better person, I feel like that's a role model. I also don't want that to be confused for like being conceited or looking up to myself. I look up to myself.
But it's absolutely.
I feel like everyone should always. I feel like everyone should always thrive to be a better version of themselves, and whatever it takes to get you motivated to be that better version of yourself, that is in itself a role model for you, in my opinion.
And I think like professionally, like I look up to like people like the band Lawrence. Like I look at their lead singer, or their female lead singer, and I can hear how she's grown vocally. Yeah. I look at like Johnny Swim and how they have a family and they're touring with like 3 babies.
And Towers is another one.
The band Towers, we love them. They're touring with babies. Like they started touring. Their first tour was with their baby. Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of role models in our lives, I think.
Yep. Cool.
What is a pet peeve that we have?
Mine is 100% when people are eating chips and they lick their fingers, but that's not that bad. The part that gets me is whenever they lick their fingers and then wipe it on their pants. Oh my God, nope. Can't do that. And you just like wipe all that. Nope. If you do that around me, I will lose my beloved mind. Can't stand it.
My pet peeve is, I was gonna say woo girls, but woo! Something just like really sets me in a tivy when like I just blatantly see disrespectful people. That just like really gets me in a tivy, and I want to knock them out. And be disrespectful too, and just knock them out.
Hypothetically, she's not gonna.
Hypothetically, I don't know. What is my pet peeve? I feel like those are like.
You don't like it whenever I do things. Just that I'm her pet peeve.
No, I don't like when the house gets too cluttery because I think I'm like claustrophobic. It just makes me feel weird.
Makes you feel, yeah. That's a good question. Thanks for ever asking that one.
Good question. What's a guilty pleasure we have? I know what mine is. It's not good.
Guilty pleasure. So like explain guilty pleasure, because I feel like a lot of things that I do, I don't feel guilty about them at all.
Okay, you don't have to feel guilty, but maybe like what's a pleasure that people wouldn't expect you to have? You have a weird thing on your hat. I'm sorry. It's just gonna be
my guilty pleasure is having that thing on my hat that you keep telling me. I don't know. Like I feel like I would have said video games at one point, but man, that's not a guilty. I enjoy that a lot.
Okay, then take out guilty. Just say what's a pleasure?
What's a pleasure? I love playing golf.
Oh yeah, I like golf too.
Yeah. A guilty pleasure that, I don't know, it's maybe a guilty pleasure. I love dressing up. Like, I love wearing a suit. I love wearing a tie. I really enjoy looking nice. And I know, like, a lot of people don't. And so maybe that's a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't know.
My guilty pleasure is 1000% not going to be a fan favorite, but I will, like, an ideal guilty pleasure is like I come home from work, I eat my powdery cheese Kraft macaroni on the couch, and I turn on like Keeping On with the Kardashians or like Fixer Upper, and I just am brainless, and I just watch people's drama or watch people's like remodel, and I'm like, this is so cool.
That
and
is a guilty pleasure.
I just sit there and I eat my warm mac and cheese and in my big hoodie blanket thing. My kitties.
You should be very, very guilty. You should feel very guilty.
With my kitties, and my husband's out golfing or hanging out with friends, and it's just me. Like, I love having the house to myself.
Don't have to apologize to me. I get it. I'm annoying.
Yeah. No. No. But sometimes I just like having that like dead space where I have like the house is clean in this ideal situation, like very spotless clean, and I don't have to worry about doing dishes or laundry or cleaning or cooking dinner, and you're out with friends and I just eat my powdered mac and cheese and watch reality TV.
Cool. I love it.
Yes. And then the last question is, how did we meet? Strip club.
Prison?
The prison strip club.
Actually, we have that question coming up in a later episode, but the long and short of it was Cass and I were both worship leaders at a decently sized church back where we're from. There was a campus in Maryland. There was a campus in Pennsylvania. She lived in Pennsylvania. I lived in Maryland. And one Saturday service, they brought some musicians from the PA campus to the Maryland campus, and thus I laid eyes on the most beautiful person that I've ever seen. And she proceeded to ghost me and play hard to get for about 7 months.
No, 4.
It's like 3.5 years
4
of
months.
just nothing. She wouldn't talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. But we will actually go into detail about how we met in a later episode, so definitely stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for all of the awesome questions.
The fun questions.
That was a lot of fun. And I felt like we ended in just enough time because our camera's about to die. So thank you guys for joining us for episode 4 of All Things Grae.
All Things Grae.
We will see you in the next episode. Boom!